Hello everybody, welcome to episode number 53 of Driftless Knitting. My name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter, and you can find the podcast on Ravelry if you search for Driftless Knitting under the Groups tab. Right now in our Ravelry group we have a knit along going on. It's called the First Snow Cal, and it's going to go until the end of January. So for this knit along, basically the point is to celebrate winter, celebrate snow, celebrate being cozy inside, or doing some fun outdoor things in the wintertime. So really just knit or crochet anything that is either winter or Christmas themed, or it can be something that you use for the cold winter. If you're knitting a blanket or crocheting a blanket, if you knit a really nice warm hat or gloves or something like that that you want to wear out in the cold, slippers, things like that. Not that you're wearing those out in the cold, hopefully, but inside where it's warm and you want to be nice and snuggly. Yeah, so go on there. There's a chatter thread. There's no FO thread. So just be sure to comment on people's pictures, post pictures of your own, just get involved in general, and then come February 1st, I'm going to be choosing a winner for a prize. And the prize includes some yarn from Knit Circus Yarns, which is a yarn company here in Madison, Wisconsin, which is very close to where I live. And I actually work there, so they donated a cake of one of their gradient yarns, and I will be giving that away to a very lucky member of that knit along. So yes, please go on there and participate, and thank you to everybody who is already participating. It's gotten a lot of, there's like over 50 comments, I guess, on that thread, and there's just some really fun people participating, so be sure to go check that out. I wanted to say thank you to everybody who is watching. For those of you who come back week after week and watch all of my episodes, thank you so much. And to those of you who are new subscribers, and maybe this is your first time watching my podcast, thank you so much, and I really hope that you enjoy what you see. So today is a gray, rainy, kind of gross day here in southern central Wisconsin, south central Wisconsin, I guess. And yeah, it's just so dark. It probably looks like it's nighttime. It is 11:15 in the morning right now. Yeah, cloud cover. We have rain. It's supposed to freeze tonight, so we'll have ice. All of the snow is gone now because it's been so warm. Right now it's almost 40 degrees Fahrenheit, it's 37, and all the snow is melting, so that's why we have rain, not cold enough to snow. And yeah, it's gross. And even though it is warmer outside, I feel like I just need to be, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be wearing like comfy hand knit things. I put one of these shawls on just because having my neck bare, I was just chilly. I don't know, it's just that damp chilliness that is getting into every crack and crevice of the apartment. So yeah, I'm really happy I have the day off today. Oh, I forgot to mention what day it is. It's Monday, January 22nd. Yeah, and like I said, it's a little after 11 in the morning. I did get up early again this morning. Seaver, my fiance, went to work pretty early, and I have not been as productive as I was last Monday. Those of you who watched my podcast last Monday, I was so energetic, and it was only like 9:30, and I'd gotten all this stuff done. It was amazing, and I had a little bit of a slower start this morning, but I still feel, it's only a little after 11. I've already done, quite a few things, and I still have some like chore type things to do. We have laundry that I have to put away, and I should take the garbage out because it's starting to be a bad situation. I've just been putting that off, which is, yeah, not the best idea. But yeah, so just little things like that. I want to do a little bit of cleaning because it is really my only day at home until I start my work week again. So hopefully I'll feel more motivation. I've been feeling motivated to craft this morning, which is a good thing, but sometimes you gotta do things you don't really want to do. So I'll tell you very briefly about what I'm wearing today. And I guess I'll take it off because it's easier to see. So this is actually a pattern of mine, and this is called Frozen Leaves. This is a shawl that I knit and designed last winter. Yeah, last winter, about November. And it was to go along with a special colorway that Lisa of Three Sisters Fiber Company designed and dyed for Yarnology, which is the yarn store I used to work for. So, and that's up in Winona, Minnesota. Put a little plug in there. I usually give a plug to them. I talk about Yarnology a lot and about Lisa a lot if you've watched the podcast before. So it's kind of this oversized triangle shawl. It's got eyelets throughout it, which I hope you can see. Because it's such a light color, I think it's kind of hard to see those details. And just a center spine where you increase. And the bottom of it, I'm hoping, yep, that's still in the frame, is this really neat leaf detail. So this yarn color was based off of a picture of a frozen, it was like a brown, like dead leaf that was like encased in ice, and it was taken by a local photographer, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful picture. All these beautiful neutrals, the grays, the tans, the browns. Oh my gosh. And so I was inspired by that photo as well when I was designing the pattern. So, yep, so it has the leaves down there, and it's just really nice. I knit this out of, this yarn base is cashmere and merino wool, I think, and nylon. So it is, and it's a fingering weight, so it is really, really nice and soft and wonderful. And it's knit out of 150 grams. So if you go online and you find this pattern, it is available for purchase on Ravelry, and you want to knit it for yourself, just make sure you have enough yarn. It's not made out of a typical just 400 yard skein of sock yarn. You will need a little bit more. So it'll take, you know, about a skein and a half if you have 200 gram balls, or you can just, you know, keep making it bigger and bigger. Just make sure you have the right multiple for this edging. You could make it, you know, with 200 grams of yarn, and it would be even bigger. You would just have to do a little bit of math, but it wouldn't be too bad. So yeah, so that's the shawl I'm wearing, and I really hope you guys got a good glimpse. I'm just gonna peek around here of that kind of lace edging. I really like that, and I love wearing it because it's so nice and big, but it's not too big where it completely like swallows you, but it is plenty to just get this nice cushy feeling. And I'm never worried about the, you know, the ends coming undone and it falling off my neck, because it's you know, it's big enough to stay. So yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today, and just trying to, you know, combat the cold outside. Anyway, we should get into some knitting content. There is quite a bit to talk to you about today. As always, I'm going to start with my works in progress. I am really excited that I got some work done on this particular project. And it's still like, oh, man, I just love knitting this. Just looking at it makes me so happy. So I am making the Mountain of Minis wrap. This is by Sam Troya of Bumblebee Acres Yarn. Her family runs a fiber farm, and then they also have their own yarn line, hand-dyed yarns, called Bumblebee Acres, and just beautiful, beautiful yarns. These are all of their mini skeins. They sent out, I should start at the beginning, they did advent calendars this year, mini skein advent calendars, and my friend Lisa bought me an advent calendar as a Christmas / going away present, and we knit, she got one too, she got the Downton Abbey themed advent calendar, and this is the Harry Potter themed advent calendar. And we kind of knit these together. I still have to see hers in person. I haven't seen it knit up yet. I saw like the first few colors. She sent me a picture. We were kind of chatting back and forth about it during December. And unfortunately, I was knitting so many Christmas presents and just busy with life and work that I didn't get a whole lot done on this. During the month of December, I got pretty far behind, which is why I'm still knitting on it, still working on it. But I did put in colors, I think this is 13 and 14 or 12 and 13. So last time I showed this to you, I had just knit this blue section, which is called Winter in Hogsmeade, I believe. I have all the names like saved. And then I showed you the ball of yarn that was going to come next. And it was the Hogwarts Express. So I just really wanted to see how this knit up. I was curious about how the red and the, you know, black and light blue and white sections were going to kind of play out. And I love the way this looks. I am curious to see, you know, eventually I think I'd want to get a full skein of this and maybe do a pair of socks, because who doesn't want Hogwarts Express socks? And I think you'd be able to see the colors a little bit better in like a stockinette stitch. So I was really excited with that. Yeah, like look at the black of like the, I mean obviously the Hogwarts Express is this bright red and black, and I just think that's perfect. And then the skein that came after that matches so well. And this is the Yule Ball. And just little hints of, sorry the lighting is so bad, again it's so gray outside and I have a light like directly in front of me, and I'm hoping that will shine down enough that you'll be able to see these colors pretty clearly. But so it just has some specks of blue and pink, some darker, that's almost like a, that almost gets to black, like right in there. And yeah, that frosty blue is just so perfect. I love it so much. And it goes so well with the Hogwarts Express, doesn't it? Those two together. Oh my gosh. So I did only get those two knit in there in the last week, but I'm really happy that I did. I want to work on it a little bit at a time so that I don't lose steam, and so I don't let it sit for like a year and come back to it next winter and say, why the heck didn't I finish this? Excuse me. So I already wound up the next color that's going to go in there, and this is just a beautiful neutral with some tans and grays, just very light colors in there. And this one is called I'll Await Your Owl, which it fits it completely, and it actually matches my shawl pretty well. These are kind of the same colors in there. So that one will come next. I already have that ready to go when the inspiration hits me to work on this again. And I forget which one is after that. Oh yes, it's Mrs. Norris. Mrs. Norris comes after I'll Await Your Owl, which is really funny. I'm just thinking like the owls and the cat together. Yeah, even though it's just yarn, but the idea of those being paired up next to each other is kind of funny. So yeah, this is my Harry Potter wrap. Still loving it, still loving the pattern. They have this pattern available now for the general public. For the month of December and most of January, it was just reserved for those who bought the advent calendars. But now I believe it's up on their website and on Ravelry. And they are selling kits. So they sell mini skeins in their shop, and you know, you can go on there and pick, I don't know if they have full, they must have full sets of the, like the 25 different minis, but you could really knit this wrap just out of one single color of yarn. I'm kind of thinking I might knit this again and just do one single like variegated yarn. And this is going to be extremely long. I mean, it's already This is a little, I guess this is a little more than halfway. But if I just knit color 13 in there. So I'm just about halfway, a little bit over, and it's already, you know, quite long. But I think that, you know, you could take a little bit of the length off, a little bit of the size off, and just make it into a nice, you know, scarf or shoulder wrap or something like that. The pattern is really fun. It keeps your attention, but it's also easy to sort of memorize. I do keep the pattern with the project because I like to just sort of look and remind myself of what row I'm on, and then after that I'm fine. Like, I can knit an entire section just by looking at like that first row, because it's, once you know what the pattern's doing, it's very intuitive. So I really, really like that about this project. I also like that I have a sample of all of their Harry Potter themed yarns, and I can just go through and say, ooh, I want to knit blah 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 out of the Sorcerer's Stone, which that is that one right there. And I can see how it knits up, I can see all the colors in it. I just think that's so fun. So I have like 10 more, 12 more technically, mini skeins in this bag, and I can't wait to just keep knitting them. So, sorry, I have a little bit of a frog in my throat. I am feeling better. I don't have a cold anymore, but for some reason that just little bit of a tickle has stayed with me for a really long time, so excuse me if I'm kind of clearing my throat every so often. But my next work in progress that I've worked a little bit on, I don't even think I'm going to show it to you today. It's called The Piece of Silver Sweater by Vera Valimaki, and I showed it to you last week. I knit it has a rolled turtleneck collar, and I knit most of that, but I haven't really been focusing on it at all. And you'll see, because I have a couple other projects that I put most of my knitting time into, but it looks the exact same. I maybe have an inch more than I did last week, but it looks the exact same. It's just a tube. It's a 2x2 rib, and if you want to see what color I'm working in or what that looks like, you can go back to last week's episode. I am knitting it out of a Miss Babs fingering weight yarn that I've had in my stash for years and years and years, and hopefully this week I will get more work on it done and actually start increasing for the shoulders and everything, and it will look a little bit more like the beginning of a sweater. And then we'll be able to see, how the yarn plays out with more stitches. I was saying last week how I'm getting a lot of these big lines of color, and that will change as I increase stitches. So I'm wondering, is it going to pool? Is it just going to be very flecky? It's going to be kind of fun to see how that all knits out. So you guys have to hold me accountable. I'm going to try not to get too distracted by other projects, although I did cast on 2 more this week, which I'll show you in just a second. But I just want to get at least that collar done and then start increasing for the yoke, and maybe have a little more to show you next week. So yeah, my technically 3rd work in progress. I have pretty much 4 ongoing knitting works in progress right now, and yeah, I just started this one on Saturday, but I had an excuse, because I taught a toe-up sock class, 2 at a time toe-up sock class at Knit Circus, which was a really big success. It was awesome. I had 4 students, and those 4 ladies were wonderful, patient, and it was the perfect mix of personalities where they chatted, but they didn't distract each other, and they all really got along. But it wasn't all about, sometimes in a class, the students can get, like I said, distracted, and it turns into more of a social hour, which is totally fine. That's why some people want to take classes, is to meet new people and kind of have that social setting. And but then you don't get as much out of the class. You might not learn as much as the teacher wants to teach you, if you're mostly focused on chatting. But this was a wonderful group where they did chat and they did engage each other, but they all made progress. They all learned the techniques. We had a really good time. So I will be teaching the second part of that class coming up in February, where we will turn our heel and knit the leg. But right now they have homework to go knit their foot. They got the toes done in that class. Now they have to go knit their foot. So I couldn't be the only one that wasn't knitting socks on Saturday. And I brought along some sock yarn that I've been really wanting to cast on with, especially because, sorry, I'm just going to tuck in my end there, especially because it is Knit Circus yarn. So we are known for our gradient yarns, and those of you who have watched before have kind of heard this spiel of mine because I've showed off some Knit Circus yarn on here before. But we specialize in gradient yarns, and especially we do this awesome thing where we dye two 50-gram balls or these are actually 50-gram, like two 50-gram balls is our large set, so that's a full 400 yards. These are the medium set because I don't use a whole 400, ball, 400 skein of sock yarn when I knit my socks. I always have like almost half the skein left over. So I usually get the medium sets, which are 150 yards total, 150 yards each, sorry, 75 grams. So you can see on there, we usually circle what size it is, and this was a sale set. So it had some spots. We didn't want to sell it for full price, so we put it on sale. If you're interested in these yarns, or we even have some sale yarns on our website. It's www.knitcircus.com, or you can come into the shop in Madison, Wisconsin. And the address and everything is listed on our website, so you can go on there and find that. But yeah, so I bought this sale yarn because I don't really care if there's a spot of dye in the wrong place because it's going to be on my feet. And that was my choice, so I didn't mind that. So this is a colorway called Gone Glamping, which is really cute, and I just love the green into this like gluey purple into the dark purple. I just think that's really, really cute. So the cool thing about these sock sets is we dye both skeins like together so they match perfectly. And that way you don't have to measure out, with a lot of self-striping yarns, if you want them to match, you have to kind of, pull the yarn until you get to a certain point and then cut it and then make sure that you're, starting the toe at the same place, blah, blah, blah. These you just knit from one ball and then you cast on with the other one, you knit from that one, and you're good to go. So I'm really excited to use these. This is my first time using a Knit Circus sock set, and I didn't get too far, but there's my little toe. I do just like a normal wedge toe, I think it's called. I use 56 stitches. I'm about a size like 7.5, and I use a US size 1. So with my gauge and my foot size, I do 56 stitches. And yeah, I finished increasing for the toe and then started the pattern. I have a Gnome Knitter Progress Keeper on there. Her pancakes. This is from a long time ago. This Progress Keeper actually came with this bag. This is a Laura Ingalls Wilder Little House on the Prairie set from Little Skein in the Big Woods. So this is like the flapjacks that Laura talks about. Almanzo, her husband, used to make flapjacks all the time. So little stack of pancakes with some butter and syrup on it. And this is, I think, my first my oldest progress keeper, and I still love it. And something about like the camping, you know, the glamping theme, I don't know, I thought the pancakes really fit that. I think of, you know, just having really good food over the campfire, and we do pancakes a lot when we camp because it's kind of easy. You only need a few ingredients, and if you get a mix, I mean, that's even easier, but really you just need like an egg, flour, milk or water, some baking powder. That's pretty much it. I put oil in mine too, but anyway, so I just thought that fit with the camping theme. And I really like having a progress keeper for my socks to see my progress. This particular pattern is one that I just received this month. I signed up for Mina Phillips' sock collections, I think they're called. Yeah, her sock collections for 2018. She has 2 of them going on, and you get a pattern. For each collection, you get a pattern every other month. So because I signed up for both of them, I will get a pattern every month. And this one is part of her Wanderlust collection. They are called the Resfeber socks. I'm probably butchering that name so badly, but I'll put it at the bottom. I'm just sort of sounding it out, so I really don't know how it's supposed to, you know, be pronounced. But she, excuse me, she said that this is a word that kind of describes the feeling that a traveler has like right before leaving on a trip, like the night before, that excitement that you feel. It's kind of that restlessness to get going, and you know, that feeling of anticipation when you're about ready to go off on an adventure. I think that was really cool. So I started these, and she has a picture down here, and I'll just show you the folded over. And it's kind of like it's a rib in a sense, but it almost comes out wavy. And you can kind of see how it's starting to do that on mine. Like these lines of stockinette stitch on either side of the purl stitches are starting to kind of wave out like that. So it is kind of a simple, repetitive pattern, and I'm saying that in like the best possible way, repetitive. I really do like doing textured patterns on socks and things like that, but I still want my socks to be like mindless knitting. So I want to be able to read the pattern on the, you know, read my stitches and just say like, oh, okay, I've done 2 rows of that. I need to do this and this next. Or, you know, just kind of get in the zone when you've been knitting for a while. You don't have to really think too much about it. So you can take it in the car, or you can, you know, knit on it while you're watching a movie or something like that. So I really do think that these will be a good mindless knit. And I was just, oh, my fingers were aching to knit on them all weekend. I taught my class and I knit, you know, I probably increased and got to about like there. So just barely, you know, knitting the toe. And I only knit on these when I knew my students were good to go. They didn't need help. They were kind of on their way and just focusing on getting their toe finished. And then I cast on mine and kind of sat with them and chatted and knit on mine as well. So I took them to the farm this weekend because Seaver and I went to his parents' farm. I do have a little bit of video footage from the farm from yesterday, which was Saturday. No, yesterday was Sunday. And I'll put that at the end here. Just a little bit of like feeding the calves and stuff like that. We chopped wood. Those of you who follow me on Instagram saw my video of me chopping wood. I'm still learning how to do it, and I need to be less timid. I think I have the muscle to, you know, chop well, but I'm still trying to be accurate, and so I don't swing and bring down the splitting maul quite as hard as I should in order to really like chop fast and well. So, but I'm still learning. this is my first time chopping wood this year. I've helped him a couple times in the past, but we haven't had a day, like a full day out at the farm in a long time, so that was really, really fun. So I'll put some of that video footage at the end. And so I got there Saturday night, and he was still in the barn helping his dad with the milking. So his mom and I sat and chatted. I ate some dinner, and when I was done with dinner, I grabbed my sock bag, my knitting bag right away, and started knitting again. So I got a little bit done Saturday night, and then yesterday when we got home from the farm, I sat and we watched the end. We watched the end of the Vikings and Eagles game. I was really pulling for the Vikings. I know that the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, are the underdogs as well, but I lived in Minnesota for like 10 years, and the Vikings have not been good in a really long time, and they had such a good season, and I was so hoping that they would get to the Super Bowl. Anyway, I know this is not a football podcast, this is a knitting podcast, but yeah, so I was knitting my sock during the end of that game, and I got to this point. I haven't worked on it since last night, so, but yeah, the whole day I was just like, oh, I just want to knit, I just want to knit, please just let me knit. We hung out with some friends too, and we went bowling, and then out to dinner, and while we were bowling, there was, you know, you have to wait your turn and everything, and I'm just sitting there thinking, I could be knitting on my sock right now, but I didn't go get it because, I don't know, you don't want to be rude. When you haven't seen a friend in a while, you don't want to be sitting there, even though you know you can still talk and pay attention while you're knitting a simple sock. They don't necessarily know that, so it just sort of looks like you're trying to, you know, distance yourself from the conversation and stuff. Anyway, so I knit on it a little bit last night. I'm going to knit on it more today. This is being housed in my Prickle Sticks yarn bag. I got that right. And this is by Beth, who is BB Knitter on Instagram. And she sent me a couple of these bags earlier, well, I guess last year now, December. And yeah, I really, really like them. This just reminds me of summertime, and when I was looking for a bag to put my socks in, again, with the whole like outdoor camping, all that sort of thing, I grabbed the flowers because they're so pretty. And yeah, this is a really great bag. It's got a nice loop handle on there, and really good size. This is almost like too big for socks, but oh well, I don't care. I can fit the pattern in there too. And then just a nice zipper at the top and a contrasting fabric inside. So yes, those are living in there, and I'm really excited to get to the next color in the gradient. I think that's going to be like my motivation for this pair of socks. Like, okay, I'm done with the green, now on to the blue, now on to the purple. It's going to be so much fun to see them change. And I'm probably going to do a Fish Lips Kiss Heel again. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to work out with the gradients, like how the colors are going to kind of pool as I'm doing the short rows for the Fish Lips Kiss Heel. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting further on those. But because I'm crazy, I cast on another project, and I just cast this on this morning. I kind of mentioned wanting to knit something like this last week for my friend Amber's little boy, who was just born in November, and I mistakenly thought that I was seeing them this past Sunday, and we're not actually getting together until next Sunday, the 28th. So I have time to knit something for him. This is going to be kind of like our belated Christmas get-together. We don't live too far apart. Elizabeth lives up in Winona still. Amber is in Westby, Wisconsin, and then I'm down here in Cross Plains. So we're a couple hours away from each other, and they have little kids, so you know, it just doesn't work out to like see them very often, or to all have all of our schedules match up where we can go and hang out for, you know, a long period of time. So we're gonna go and meet up, and I really wanted to knit Amber's baby a sweater. I haven't knit him a sweater yet, and I decided to go with, oh, I don't want to show too much of the pattern, even though I think that was just like cast or like age, like sizes right there that you probably saw. But this is called the boy sweater, and it is by Lisa Chemery. I think that's how you pronounce that. If not, I'm sorry. And it's just a cute pullover with some textured stitches at the bottom, and a nice shawl collar. You guys know how I love little shawl collars on baby boys. I think, well, on any baby really, I think it's adorable. It makes them look like an old man, which for some reason is cute. I don't know why. It's kind of weird, but I do love that shawl collar, and I love how it has the buttons and everything. It'll be really easy to pull on and off. I mostly knit cardigans for babies, but for some reason this one was just calling my name. So I cast on. I have almost a week to finish this, and I'm knitting the 6-month size. So I didn't really knit too much yet this morning, but I have my markers in there. I'm increasing for the yoke. I think you go back and pick up stitches for that shawl collar, I'm pretty sure, and do like short rows for that, which is how most of them are constructed. But yeah, it's gonna be kind of a fun knit. I'm using Rowan Pure Wool Worsted. This is their Garage colorway, or Garage. Is that how you pronounce it, like in England and stuff? Garage? I don't know. We say garage, so that's what I'm gonna say. And it is, I say that because it's an Britain-based company, so I'm not just like randomly trying to say words in other accents. Rowan is from England, so yep. And I bought this. This has been in my stash for a little while. I bought this maybe a year or so ago, and yeah, it's just a nice deep green. I think it's gonna be really handsome for a little boy baby. Yay! So I have plenty of yarn, I believe, because I only need about 300 yards, and I have almost a full skein here. I would say about 2/3 of a skein, and then I have an entire full skein here, and this has 219 yards per skein. So I will definitely have enough. And yeah, I'm gonna try and get that done by Sunday. That includes like blocking, putting buttons on, and all of that sort of thing. So crossing my fingers. But at least I have an extra week. I thought it was, you know, we were getting together last week. That was wrong. All right, so that is my last knitting work in progress. I do have an FO to show you guys though. It's still slightly damp, which is kind of unbelievable. I soaked and blocked this on Friday, so it's been like Friday morning. So it's been Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or no, was it Saturday morning? Yeah, it was Saturday morning. Saturday, Sunday, and then today, Monday. So it's been 3 days, and it's not very big, but it's still damp. And this is, of course, the one work in progress that I haven't talked about that was on the podcast last week, is the tea leaf sweater. Oh my goodness. This is technically the tiny tea leaves, which is the child size, the child version, and this is the 2-year size, which is the smallest in the child version. And I knit this for my friend Elizabeth's little girl. So both babies will get a sweater for Christmas, for belated Christmas. And yeah, I love this bright blue aqua color. I think it is so perfect for a little girl. The yarn is Madeline Tosh Vintage, which is their worsted weight. and it is in the Button Jar Blue colorway, which is discontinued, unfortunately. I even think the yarn that they replaced it with, so they replaced it with a very similar color called Glass Bottom Boat. I think they even discontinued Glass Bottom Boat. So I really don't know what you can buy in this yarn that is comparable. I'm sure other indie dyers or even, you know, bigger yarn companies have a bright aqua like this, but let me just tell you, it is slightly like tonal. There's some spots where it's a little, I mean, you can see that, a little lighter, a little darker, but that's what makes hand-dyed yarn so special, right? So I did use almost 2 full skeins of this yarn, and so that would be 400 yards. There's 200 per skein, and I just did little like 3/4 sleeves, which I really honestly think are probably the best for like toddlers, because you don't have to roll them up. They're not going to get them in food and dirt and all that stuff. They, you know, little toddlers get into everything, so I feel like that's a lot of times the best option for sweaters. And, you know, little cardigan, she'll, you know, have to wear something underneath, which I feel like most of the time, you know, we do wear something underneath our hand knit sweaters, even though it's soft as butter. And then this morning I sewed on 3 little contrasting color buttons, and these are, I'll go a little closer to the camera, these are just some buttons from Joann's. It was a pack of like multicolor buttons, and I really wanted like cute little girl, you know, flower or some other sort of shape for this sweater. And at first I was disappointed that they weren't all one color, but now I think it actually adds to the whole look. Like, it's just sort of whimsical and fun and bright. So I like how, you know, pink, green, and orange there. And yeah, this is, like I said, this is wet blocked. I set it out. I didn't pin it, but the ends kind of, you know, they don't fold up anymore. The stitches relaxed so well. It was a little bit like stiff after I knit it, and with that wet blocking, it just, everything opened out. It's nice and drapey. I'm just really excited to give it to her and then to see her in it. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. Yay! So that's my finished object. And I actually finished knitting that on Tuesday, I think. I got so much knitting done on it Monday last week after I podcasted. That was I finished the body, and I think I cast on and did about half of the first sleeve. And then Tuesday, I finished the first sleeve and I knit the entire second sleeve. So it has been done for a few days, and then I finally did get a chance to block it, you know, soak it and lay it out Saturday morning before going to work. So I'm really pleased with that project. So the next thing and the last thing that I want to talk about is a little bit of an update on my adventures with cross stitch. I'm getting back into cross stitch after maybe, I don't know how long not cross stitching, maybe like 19 years. I cross stitched a bit when I was, you know, 6, 7, 8 years old, and then haven't done it since then. So I caught the bug, and those of you who have watched know that I got a bunch of floss and this magazine from my Oma, my grandmother, for Christmas, and I am wanting to work on this. I almost said knit. I'm wanting to stitch this little Halloween kitty. It's just a little, it's only going to turn out to be like that big. So it's just a little thing for, you know, a table or a desk or something. And I'm going to give this to my sister, who loves Halloween and loves cats. And I'm so happy to say that I started. It doesn't look like anything, but I wanted to show you proof that I did start and I did do some cross stitch. That is literally just a line going down and back. So you make each, like you can see, maybe you can see, I don't even know if that's too small. Down here, oh, that might even be, I don't know if you can see that. There's just one like diagonal line. So cross stitch obviously gets its name because you're making a little X in the fabric, and that all those little X's together are forming a picture. I'm assuming you all know what cross stitch is, but still, I will explain, just in case. So basically when you're cross stitching, you do a section, you go down the line, and you do these little like diagonal lines, and then you come back and you cross them all, so that you're not doing like a cross in one, a cross in another, a cross in another. At least that's how my Oma taught me, so I don't know if that's, I'm assuming that that's how everybody does it, but honestly I don't know. That's how I do it, so that way it keeps the back really nice and neat. You can see a few little strands hanging out, but all these, they just look like little straight lines because you're not kind of doubling back on yourself every time you do a stitch. So I did this in one sitting. This was maybe only about 45 minutes, but still, 45 minutes to do that much. It is slow. Slower than knitting. Much slower than crocheting, I would assume. And yeah, you really have to want to do it because it isn't very instant. It doesn't have that instant gratification thing that even knitting in a sense has, even when you're working on something small like a sock. You can see your progress. Obviously you can see your progress on this too, but it's not going to go very quickly. It is very like methodical and very soothing. That repetitive motion of, you know, going back and forth and, you know, putting, you know, your needle in and drawing it out and putting it back in, drawing it out. Like, it's just very, the motion of it is very methodical, and I actually really, really enjoyed that aspect of it. It forced me to slow down a little bit. I feel like over the last few months I've been so focused on producing, knitting things quickly, getting through my stash, knitting all these presents for all these people, and feeling like I'm on a constant deadline, or that if I'm not rushing, hurrying, knitting quickly, that I'm wasting my time. And I know I shouldn't feel that way, but it just sort of has become like that for me lately. And last 2 Mondays, I have but I've made myself sit and read without trying to multitask. Sometimes I do enjoy reading and knitting if it's the right project, if it's like a vanilla sock, or I'm just doing stockinette stitch in the round, or even stockinette stitch flat, purling back. I don't have to really look at that. So I can read and knit, but it does sort of uses a different part of your brain, because you're still trying to multitask. You're still trying to get this knitting done while or keep your hands busy while you're reading, and it doesn't really force your body to relax and calm down and force your brain to focus on one thing. And I think that is healthier, to have your brain focus on one thing. I'm not going to stop knitting and watching podcasts or knitting and reading sometimes, but I do think a break in always trying to multitask with everything I do in life and everything, you know, most people are like that. We want to get as much done as we can, so we rush around and try and do 4 things at once. So forcing myself to stop, take a breath, focus my brain on one thing, really enjoy that one thing, I think is going to be pretty beneficial. So I'm going to try and read more. I'm going to try and do, you know, my cross stitch and just really focus. Knitting does that for me too. I just have to stop feeling pressure to get all the things done right away. Maybe that would help if I stopped casting on new projects and just finished one and then go on to the other one, but you know, whatever. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I cannot wait for my bag to come, the bag that I'm going to keep everything in. It hasn't arrived yet, but it did ship from England, so I'm guessing it's going to, take a good week or two. I ordered it a week ago Saturday, and I got the notification that it shipped on Monday, so a week ago today. And I'm really, really excited for that to come, and I cannot wait to show you. I'm just imagining, I hope it's as beautiful as it looks in the pictures on Etsy and just as functional. I think it will be because it had great reviews. This maker had some fantastic reviews on her site. So I'll put that information down below because I can't remember exactly what her shop name is. But she has project bags, she has these craft bags, she calls them, which can be knitting project bags, or they're like thinner and flatter and longer. It's like the same thing. So they're going to be good for storing like my hoop or a frame if I ever get a frame, to keep my cross stitch tight. It's going to keep my magazine or my patterns, whatever kind of pattern I'm using, and my box of floss. It's going to keep all that nice in there, and it has pockets on the inside, so I can put scissors and extra needles and things like that, and I'm just so excited for that to come. It's gonna be my first like real notion or accessory that I've bought for cross stitch besides getting like a $2 hoop and getting floss, things like that. I think the next notion I need though is a needle minder. So you can see that I have my needle just sort of tucked into the fabric, and that's not really all that great for it. This is not, like, the fabric up here is not going to be part of the design. This is like the upper border, and then the picture will be down here, but it's still not really that great, and I know from experience that if you leave that needle there long enough, it will develop rust stains. So that happened because I left it in there for about a year without touching it, but when I was younger. But still, I really don't want that to happen. I want my needle and my cross stitch fabric to, be good and to last me and everything, so I don't want any rust on there. So I think I'm going to get one of those magnetic needle minders that you clip like the back of it, or you put the back of it behind your hoop, the front of it on top obviously, and it like magnetizes together, and then you put your needle on there and it's a magnet, so it just like holds onto the needle. And they have some super cute ones on Etsy. I'm really wanting one of those, so that might be my next cross stitch accessory purchase. Okay, so I guess that wasn't the last thing I wanted to talk about because I have one more quick thing. We're already almost at an hour, so I'll try to be brief, but I wanted to mention a couple of podcasts really quickly. I wanted to give a shout out and say thank you to Grace of Babel's Traveling Yarns, and just say thank you. I won a pattern on her podcast. She was doing a giveaway, and I never win anything. I literally, oh sorry, you just saw my notebook there. I literally enter like all of these giveaways. I do knit-alongs, and while it's not 100% about getting a prize, that is, kind of exciting. The thought that you could win a beautiful project bag or a skein of yarn or, a whole bundle of cool knitting things. So, but I never win. In everything I've entered, pretty much have never won. So to win this really beautiful pattern on her group on Ravelry was really exciting. And then she mentioned my podcast, which was really cool because I am such a fan of Grace. I love her podcast. I just love how real she is with everything that she does, or at least she seems unafraid to show like her true self. And she's just fun, and she's funny, and she's been to some cool places, and she lives in Ireland, so that's pretty cool. I just love hearing about her life over there. So yeah, I'm a huge fan, and to have her mention my podcast was really cool. Just gonna say, really cool. The other podcast I wanted to mention is a new one I've started watching, and I have recently caught up on all my podcasts. I've tried out a couple podcasts, but nothing has really felt right. These podcasts are great. I just haven't really connected with any of the ones that I've been trying out lately. So I've been kind of searching around, watching an episode here, an episode there, and one of them that I started watching and then totally got hooked on is called The Anxious Knitter. And I've heard about this podcast from several other sources. I think the Hey Sister podcast, I think they watch her. And maybe, I forget where else, but I've heard the name before. And that is Joy. And she is a self-proclaimed, obviously anxious knitter. And she does a dweeb story of the week where she's done something embarrassing or dumb, or, you know, it can have to do with knitting or crafting, but a lot of times it doesn't. She's just so funny, and she's a nerd. She loves Harry Potter and Doctor Who, and just all these fun things that I love as well. So it's really fun to watch her. And she is also very real on camera. She's not, I don't feel like she's putting on a face or trying to act a certain way. It's just kind of her personality comes out, and it's really, really enjoyable to watch. So yeah, check the Anxious Knitter podcast out. And yeah, and if you guys have any that you really, really love, please put them, like, you can comment and give me suggestions. I'm always looking for new podcasts because it's really the thing that I watch when I have downtime and alone time. I watch some TV and I watch some series on Netflix and everything, but usually if I get some time on my own where I'm relaxing, I'm going to watch a knitting podcast while I craft. So I run through them really quickly, and when someone updates and puts a new episode out, I watch it, and, you know, I don't really save them up very much unless I'm away or unable to watch. So I'm always looking for new ones. There's a few that I don't watch that I know everybody watches, and I probably should check them out eventually. It's just really, I like to go back and watch all the episodes, and I have to remind myself that that is not possible with some of these people. So, like, Yarngasm podcast, I have not watched because I feel it's impossible to go back and watch all of her episodes, and of course it is. She has 260 some, but I have to tell myself that's okay. I don't have to go and watch her from the beginning. I could start just watching her right now and, you know, and enjoy that. So I just sort of have to get over that, that hump. I do that with book series too. I cannot just pick a book, even if it's obviously one I've already read. I would never just like randomly start a book series in the middle. But like with Harry Potter or something like that, I cannot just randomly pick up like book number 4 and just read that one. I have to start from the beginning and read them all, which is crazy, I know, but it's just, that's just the way I am. So I feel like I've kind of brought that into my podcast watching life as well. But yeah, so I've been enjoying watching some podcast episodes. I'm going to catch up on a couple people. I have one from Skandir Knits to watch today. I watched the newest episode of Babel's Traveling Yarns, and Katie of Inside Number 23 put out like a Make 9 video about some of the projects she wants to do. So I have to finish up that one, and yeah, and then I'm probably going to go and watch more episodes of The Anxious Knitter, because that is one that I'm going from the beginning and watching all of them because I'm crazy. Anyway, that is everything that is on my really poorly written show notes today. Just scribbled these out earlier so I could keep on track a little bit. And yeah, I'm really happy that you all came and watched my podcast this week. Thank you so much for interacting on Ravelry. Follow me on Instagram. Feel free to message me on either platform if you have questions or comments. I'm going to try and do show notes, but I've been so bad about that lately, so forgive me if there's no show notes on the Ravelry group page. It just hasn't been a priority in my mind lately. So if you do have comments or questions about anything on the podcast, just message me, let me know, either here on YouTube or send me a message on Ravelry or send me a message on Instagram, whatever you want. And yeah, I hope to see you guys over there in the group and on Ravelry and everything. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. You've gotten through your Monday if you're watching this Monday night, so good for you. And I will hopefully see you guys again next week. Do things that make your heart happy. I will be doing the same, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye! Thank you. Hello everyone. So Seaver and I are at the farm this weekend, and I'm in the milk house right now of the barn, and we are just helping his dad with some chores, and I am about ready to pour some bottles. There's some fresh milk left over from milking this morning, so I'm gonna pour some bottles for the calves. They got one earlier, but in the cold weather they can always use more milk, so extra calories and everything. So I'm gonna pour some of that leftover milk and give it a hot water bath, and then feed the calves. So there's all that good fresh milk from the cows from this morning. The calves here only drink real milk. There's no milk replacer that goes into them, so they get a good meal. That's a happy little calf right there, aren't you? Aren't you? Oh, cute little baby. Got his little coat on. These ladies are happy too. They just got some fresh bedding. And it's sunny, and it's kind of warm today. They are happy campers. Hello. Hello. You curious? What is this thing? Hi, baby. Don't know how well you can see that, but that is a cute little raccoon hanging out in that tree, peeking over at me through the branches. It's a beautiful day out here. The sun is actually pretty bright today. It is January 21st. Yes. Oh, look how beautiful it is out here. And it's gotta be 40 degrees? Close to it, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm out here without mittens, without a hat on. Oh, it's just gorgeous. Wow, look at that. It's so nice to hear birds, too. Oh, that's a tough one.